Walter took his biggest secret to the grave, or so everyone thought, because the moment he died, everything fell apart. Two brothers who hadn't truly been a family for years were suddenly forced to stand together as the Yakuza launched a relentless hunt for their bloodline, while powerful figures worked from the shadows to erase every trace of Walter's past. But every answer they uncovered only led to an even darker truth. They soon realized their father's death wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of a nightmare far more dangerous than either of them could have imagined. Walter had just walked out of a bar after spending another normal night like he always did. But without warning, a car came speeding through the street and slammed directly into him. The call reached Holt, Walter's oldest son, who served as a military commander in the city. But he was already too late. A nurse explained that his father had become the victim of a hit-and-run accident, and there was nothing they could do to save him. But Holt hesitated. Their relationship had been broken for years. The two brothers had lived separate lives and barely spoke to each other anymore. But he chose not to reach out. Knowing Holt would never make the call himself, Holt's wife finally contacted Johnny and delivered the tragic news. Walter was dead. At that same moment, several members of the Yakuza Syndicate arrived at Johnny's house. They came looking for something, a package they claimed Walter had sent. Then one of the Yakuza Syndicate members pulled open his shirt and revealed a large dragon tattoo across his chest. In an instant, Johnny understood exactly who they were: the Yakuza organization. Johnny warned them never to mention his father's name in front of him again, but the warning meant nothing to them. Without hesitation, Johnny attacked. A brutal fight exploded inside the house. During the struggle, one of them accidentally touched a photograph sitting nearby. "Hey, don't touch my mother's photo." But they ignored him. The picture was knocked to the ground and shattered into pieces. And the moment Johnny saw his mother's memory destroyed, something inside him snapped. He attacked both Yakuza Syndicate members with brutal force until they were no longer able to fight back. The next morning, Walter's funeral was held. After 20 years apart, Johnny finally returned to say goodbye to his father. The two brothers saw each other again.
Well, it's nice to have you boys on it.
After the funeral, Johnny told Holt he would find out who was responsible for Walter's death. He explained that Yakuza members had just shown up at his house searching for a package connected to their father. Walter had been involved with something dangerous, and now that secret had gotten him killed. But Johnny didn't care. Their mother had died years ago, and they never discovered who was responsible. And Johnny believed the Yakuza Syndicate was connected to both tragedies. He was going to uncover the truth.
Sure you don't want to go any further?
You need to get your head out of your ass.
Just fucking once!
You couldn't find the guy who killed your mother, so...
Meanwhile, Holt went straight to the police station and demanded a deeper investigation into his father's hit-and-run case. The officers handed him every piece of evidence collected from the scene. With those clues in his hands, Holt headed to a nearby casino and requested the security footage from the night Walter was killed. He wanted to examine every second of what happened and find anything the police might have missed. At the same time, Johnny decided to investigate in his own way. He tracked down the home of one of Walter's former associates hoping to find any clue his father had left behind. As he searched through the house, Johnny discovered a hidden gun. But before he could learn anything else, the owner suddenly returned. The man immediately noticed something was missing. His weapon was gone. And then, Johnny appeared in front of him. The moment the man saw Johnny, he turned and ran. But Johnny refused to let him escape. After a difficult chase, Johnny finally caught him. The man's name was Frank. He claimed he had only helped Walter produce adult films and knew nothing about Walter's other activities.
Also, twisting my nose does not fix.
Back at the investigation, Holt finally obtained the casino's surveillance footage from the night of the accident. But there was a problem. The footage was too unclear. The license plate of the vehicle that struck Walter couldn't be identified. The biggest clue they had was still hidden in the shadows.
Targeted assassination.
Soon, when Holt and Johnny returned, they realized someone else had already found them. The Yakuza Syndicate knew exactly where they were, and without warning, another violent confrontation began. The attack was sudden and intense. Later, Frank received a message about a party being held at the mafia boss's mansion. A chance to finally discover what kind of relationship Walter had with the mafia boss. Without wasting time, Holt, Johnny, and Frank entered the party disguised as workers. Holt blended in as a waiter carrying plates. Johnny played the role of a drink server. But Johnny had a different plan in mind. Instead of staying hidden, he approached a woman at the party and started a conversation. What he didn't expect was that the woman was actually the mafia boss's wife. Meanwhile, Holt carefully watched the room. Then he noticed someone familiar. The Yakuza boss who had crossed paths with them before had arrived. Holt kept his eyes on him, studying every movement. But their disguise wouldn't last forever. Before long, the mafia boss realized something was wrong. They weren't real guests, and their strong builds made them stand out immediately. They were taken away and brought into another room for questioning. Inside, Johnny wasted no time. He asked the mafia boss directly if he had ever hired Walter for any kind of business. The answer surprised them. The mafia boss said he had never hired Walter. Then Holt explained who they really were. They were Walter's sons, and their father had just died in a hit-and-run. The mafia boss expressed his condolences, but then he revealed something unexpected. Walter wasn't working for him. His wife was the one who had hired Walter. However, after learning that information, Holt and Johnny left the mansion. But Johnny wasn't ready to stop. He told Holt that he already knew where the mafia boss's wife lived. The next morning, Johnny arrived at the mafia boss's wife's home. But instead of finding answers, he found a crime scene. The woman was already dead. Her body had been discovered after she fell from the 20th floor. Johnny stood there in disbelief. The only person who could explain Walter's connection to everything was gone. And to Johnny, there was only one person who benefited from her death: the mafia boss. Consumed by anger, Johnny went straight to his mansion. But the moment he arrived, he was surrounded by the mafia boss's men. The fight began immediately. No matter how hard he fought, more enemies kept coming. In the middle of the chaos, Johnny accused the mafia boss of murdering Walter, and he went even further. He claimed the same man could be responsible for his mother's death as well. But there was one problem. Johnny had no evidence, only suspicion, and because of that, Johnny was arrested and thrown into prison. Fortunately, a governor in the city who had been a close friend of Walter stepped in to help. He reminded Johnny that accusations without proof could destroy everything they were trying to uncover. The next day, Johnny was finally released. But the moment he walked out of prison, Holt was waiting for him. Holt was furious. The tension between the brothers finally exploded. They turned their anger toward each other. Holt and Johnny began fighting brutally. Years of resentment, pain, and frustration came pouring out with every strike. But eventually, Johnny couldn't keep going. With his voice filled with emotion, Johnny finally admitted what had been haunting him all these years. Their mother died without them ever finding out who killed her. And now, Walter was gone too. Hearing those words, Holt finally began to understand. He apologized to his younger brother and admitted something he had forgotten for years. After hearing that, Holt finally accepted the reality. Walter and their mother were not just Johnny's parents. They were both of theirs. The next day, Johnny's wife traveled to Miami to deliver a flash drive containing money and evidence connected to Walter's hidden dealings. But when they returned from the airport, the mafia boss already knew where they were. The attack began. Holt, Johnny, Frank, and Johnny's wife were forced into a deadly battle against the mafia boss's forces. They pushed through wave after wave of attackers, escaping one dangerous situation after another. They managed to survive and escape. Before heading back home, Frank finally managed to open the contents of Walter's flash drive. And from those details, they finally found the name of the person receiving the money. It was a governor. Meanwhile, Holt returned home and tried calling his wife, but there was no answer. When he entered the bedroom, he found his child sitting there, terrified. The child revealed that their mother had been kidnapped, but seeing the fear in his child's eyes broke him. Shortly afterward, Johnny showed Holt something that changed everything. A video sent by the mafia boss. Holt's wife appeared as a hostage. Before the video ended, the mafia boss delivered one final warning. Return the flash drive, there was no time left. Holt and Johnny immediately moved toward a storage facility containing their combat equipment. They loaded the equipment into their vehicle, then headed straight toward the mafia boss's mansion. The brothers began their attack. One by one, the guards outside were taken down before anyone realized what was happening. Inside the mansion, the mafia boss confidently picked up his phone and called his men. No one answered. The mafia boss ordered one of his men to check what was happening outside. But the moment the guard stepped out, he froze. But before he could say a word, Johnny appeared. He took the man's phone and delivered a message. There were no more guards left. He smiled. "Oh, Johnny, what are you doing?" Johnny calmly replied that he was simply carrying out his mission. Then he ended the call. He ordered the Yakuza Syndicate to eliminate Holt and Johnny. The Yakuza members immediately spread out, searching every corner of the mansion. But Holt was already waiting for them. The The battle exploded in the confined space.
Pop lock and chest boxing, guards back in action. Chop Saki, Green Hornet and K-Hardy. Naughty by nature with no flap. I'm banging on the head like a drum. I'm banging on the head like a drum gun. Me and my brother, we stand like a drum.
Holt continued unleashing his rage until Johnny finally arrived. "Hey, Holt. He's already dead. Stop hitting him." The brothers moved deeper into the mansion, and there, they finally found Holt's wife. She told Holt not to take her home. She asked him to go with Johnny and finish what they started. But now, he knew his brother needed him. Finally, he made his decision. The mission would continue. Holt soon came face to face with the Yakuza boss. Gunshots echoed through the night as the two sides clashed. Meanwhile, Johnny continued chasing the fleeing mafia boss. The escape failed, and the final battle began under the cover of darkness. On one side, Holt's fight became increasingly intense. But even after his enemy fell, Holt's anger wasn't gone. Still filled with hatred, he continued attacking until the fight was finally over. After that, Holt immediately searched for Johnny. Meanwhile, Johnny took hit after hit. He struggled to move, but his body could no longer keep up. The mafia boss walked toward him and picked up a gun. Standing above Johnny, he believed he had already won. With complete confidence, he claimed that nobody could stop him. According to him, Johnny, his brother, and even their father were all pathetic. But before he could finish everything, Holt arrived. He saw his brother lying helplessly in front of the enemy. Johnny revealed that he still had one final move. Hidden with him was a grenade. The mafia boss didn't hesitate. He pulled the trigger. At the exact same moment, the explosion erupted. Seeing what happened, Holt reacted instantly. He ran toward his brother. Without thinking about his own safety, Holt jumped forward and grabbed Johnny. The battle was over. The revenge was complete. But more importantly, a bond that had been broken for 20 years was finally restored. Two brothers who once lived like strangers were brought together by the deaths of their parents.